What's going on, everybody? Here in Zamzow from FireRescueFitness.com. I have not done live post in a while, and I've had a lot of conversations with some fire departments, with a lot of first responders throughout the country lately, just on the importance of warming up. And I thought, you know what, great way to get back into doing some live feeds and some live videos by expressing my I should say explaining why I think that's the one biggest thing that we as first responders make as a mistake, meaning we don't warm up properly. And I see it all the time going into weight rooms. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about how should we be warming up and why, most importantly. The biggest reason for why is that warming up it actively will help to improve mobility throughout that workout or shift, but also it'll improve it down the road. And why mobility is so important? Well, if you think about what we do as first responders, you know, we're constantly moving things, heavy things, we're twisting, whether, you know, yesterday getting into the SCBA, you're twisting, you need your shoulder mobility there. A lot of first responders get injured with, you know, back injuries, knees, shoulders. And a lot of this has to do with sometimes we don't have mobility. And if we do, we don't necessarily have strength through that range of motion. And by actively moving to warm up before your workouts, actively moving before your shifts, and consistently doing some mobility exercises, you really will feel the difference in your movement efficiency. You're going to move a little bit easier. You're going to move a little bit faster and better, and that will improve your performance. It also helps alleviate pain down the road. And a lot of the stuff that we use with FRF and a lot of stuff that I've been taught down the road, a lot of it comes from physical therapy. A lot of physical therapists will use this to start to get recruitment of different muscle groups and to, again, improve that range of motion and flexibility. And here's what I'm really talking about. It's not, you know, it's not like the old school. When I was way back when, one let's say 30 years ago, when I got involved in fitness, we used to do the old, you know, walk on the treadmill and then, you know, hold your stretch, whatever that might be, reach forward for 20 or 30 seconds and hold it. And that static stretching is not necessarily bad for you, except when you're trying to warm up. And if you think about it, well, when you're statically stretching, you're cooling your muscles off or cooling your muscles down. So static stretching, still do it, but it should be used at the end of workouts. And what I mean by active movements are some simple things like even, you know, arms up overhead, doing a prisoner squat where you're just squatting down slowly and easily at first. And then as you get more and more warmed up, you can increase that range of motion. And you'll feel that obviously in your knees and your legs, and you'll see and notice the difference in mobility. So things like prisoner squats, you do anywhere from, you know, 5 to 10 reps of these exercises, nice and slowly for 2 or 3 seconds. You know, you might feel, for instance, like in your squat, you're like, oh, I really feel a little stretch. You can hang out there for a couple seconds, but then coming back up. Now, what that active warm-up does, in this case, so using the example of the prisoner squat, is it's getting blood flow through the hips, through the hamstrings, and warming you up, increasing that internal core temperature and getting more blood flow to the joints. And it's also, as you can tell, you know, if anybody tries this, you know, first 2 or 3 squats, you're going to feel a little tight. As you get going and moving more, the range of motion improves. And the best way to do, you know, actively warm up is to try to incorporate in, you know, 3 to 5 exercises and perform, you know, 5 reps each side or 10 if it's just a single movement. So for instance, you know, you got your prisoner squat, you're going to do 10 of those. If you're doing, say, my favorite, if you have any FRF program, you know what I'm going to do. It's a Spider-Man, where you reach, where you start a push-up position, you step to the outside of your hand, and then come back to a push-up position and just keep alternating. So there you're going to try anywhere from 5 to 6 or 8 reps, anywhere from 5 to 8 reps on each side. I personally, I like to just stick it to 5 or 6. Now, if I'm really tight, really stiff, really sore, I will do 2 sets of these 3 to 5 exercises, one right after another. Perform them in a circuit, and what you'll hopefully feel is A, I start to get a sweat going. B, I have improved my mobility, and that lasts not only through the workout, it lasts outside of the workout. And I try to actually do a couple of different movements before my shifts, and that really helps to improve my stepping onto the rig, my stepping off of the rig, in case I have to do some twisting right away in the morning. All of that actually, you could kind of feel and right away. So let me just give you an example of a little routine that I do before. I try to do before my shifts, and I do it a lot before workouts. One you've already seen. You could just start with doing 5 to 10 prisoner squats. The other one I like to do, and if this is the bench or the I'm using the bench, this could be the step on the side of the rig. You could just put your tailboard, even you put your hands on that, you do a little spider, so you step to the outside, and then add a little rotation to it. Go back to a push-up position, step, and rotate. Now, the other thing I like to do is to get my hips and my glutes activated and loose and mobile. And think about it, on a shift, my last shift, I stepped up on the rig 82 times. Yeah, I'm the nerd that counts that out. But if I don't have that mobility in my hips and balance, as I lose my balance there, where that motion has to come from your low back. And I talked earlier about why we get these tightness in our low back. Well, think about, God, if I'm stepping up and I don't have the hip mobility to do it, that's going to really inhibit my performance down the road, number one, and eventually can lead to back pain and even knee pain because it's putting added stress. So one of the great ones to do is just step up and lean forward a little bit, raise your arms, because then you'll get a little lat pull in there also, and just 2 to 3 seconds, alternating sides. So that step up is great. You start with a squat, you do a spider with rotation, you do a step up with arm reach. And then another really good one that I've found, and you'll see I'm actually writing about in a couple articles, is it's called the waiter's bow, where you're just leaning forward at the waist and reaching your arms up by extending your palms up towards the ceiling, kind of like you're presenting a platter, I guess. But bending forward and reaching with your arms, you'll feel that in your shoulders and lats, and also in your hamstrings. So 5 to 10 of those. Perform those in a circuit. Do it 2 times. It takes about anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes. You're good to go for your shift. You actually feel, God, I feel like my body temperature is getting up. If it's your workout, then you go on to your core stuff. But my challenge to you is to start to incorporate mobility like that into every single day. Try it for 3 minutes every day. Do it for the next 30 days. And then you can call back, or you can reach out to me and say, I'm a liar that it won't work. But I guarantee you that it will. And the first thing is that you start to feel better. When you feel better, you move better. When you move better, you perform better. And you're more likely to keep going and get your workouts in because of just the way that you move. It's imperative to start right with your workouts, start right with your shifts, even your trainings. If you are, on call, paid, or volunteer, and you guys do your trainings on usually they're Tuesday, Wednesday nights, start your shift or start your training with just those simple movements. Get everybody in a group, do 3 or 4 of them. I'll try to leave some links actually on the comments section of, I got to print out 3 of these exercises that I think work out great for beginning of trainings also. So I hope that makes sense. There's been some great questions here. I'll try to get to them. Just from some people, Travis and Trevor and Steph, and help advancing home line. Oh, okay. So anyways, one of the questions was, do you have any suggestions on workouts or exercises that will help advance hose line up multiple sets of stairs. And that comes back to why I decided to do active movements. If you are able to step up more efficiently, and if you're able to move more efficiently outside of your gear, you'll be able to move better in your gear, and it makes those motions just a little easier. It's like walking or trying to run in water. The resistance of the water makes it difficult to make, to do sprinting or to go very, very fast. The same thing applies when your muscles don't move, or when you're not very mobile. Your muscles got to work really, really hard just to move into position, and then you got to propel yourself. So the more flexible and mobile you are, the more efficient you become. The more efficient you become, the more energy you can preserve to do more fire ground movements. So, for instance, in advancing hose lines, we looked at trying to get the hips more flexible, so step ups with reaching up overhead. The other thing that I would throw in to answer the question, as far as advancing hose line, a lot of that goes through what we call the transverse plane, where you're twisting. One of the best exercises I've come across, and one that you'll see a lot in FRF programs, is a rotational plank. So you start in a plank and you're just going to rotate from side to side. This movement can be incorporated into your active warm-ups. It can also be incorporated into your core, but it's going to strengthen you as you twist, which again, we do a lot of times in advancing hose line. The other thing with advancing hose line is a lot of it comes down to grip strength, because you're grabbing that hose. Now, there are some tools out on the market that'll help you grip that, but one of the things that'll help is working on grip strength. One of the best exercises for grip strength is a farmer's carry, grabbing a heavy dumbbell or a kettlebell. I like to grab heavy foam buckets, and you work on posture and carry them around. Another great movement is just to do a hang. So work on your grip by hanging for anywhere from 30 to 45 seconds. Pull-ups, if you can do them, are great because it enhances and works grip strength. Breaking down, the lower body, working with the upper body. One of the best movements that I found is to do what's called a floor to ceiling. So you have dumbbells, you lift them and then press them up overhead. Now that's great for ladder, raises, because it's very applicable, but, it's even good, this motion for hose line advancement, because you're really working through your glutes and your legs to, whether you're advancing hose line this way or just using your legs with your upper body. Now, the other one that I like is to do a one-arm row, but not your traditional one-arm row. I would recommend doing a one-arm row without using any, let me get this off here, without using anything to support. So, for instance, I should have done this a while back. Instead of doing, one-arm row where you see all the magazines, they say you have, you put your knee up and your hand up, and then you're going to row this way. Now, it's not bad. It's a good start. But think about, all right, we're advancing hose line. So here, rowing with that dumbbell is a lot more applicable. Okay, and then you throw in your farmer's carry or your dumbbell carry. You can even do that with one arm, because you'll feel this is really working the core with all the weight on one side. You add then, any sumo squats. You can add a squat to a curl, right? And then you can even add a squat, curl, press up. That's going to help you not only with hose line advancement, but with hoisting and raising ladders. So the question again was, how do we improve our performance advancing hose line? And it's really what I do and what I've done with my sports athletes, my pro athletes, is you break down the movements and you figure out what exercises can we do that will improve us through those movements? Again, with hose line advancement, it's twisting, it's pulling, it's grip strength. With anything on the fire ground, though, it all starts with mobility. Being able to reach behind you to put your SCBA on is like the first step. Yet, I see all of these athletes, these firefighters and EMTs and medics, they constantly go and warm up. Let's say, for instance, in the gym, they'll usually do like a set of bench, and they'll isolate chest, and they'll do chest press. Instead of doing the bench press, I'm not saying don't do that as a warm-up, but warm up the shoulders, warm up, your chest, and open it up. Improve your posture, improve your mobility, because that will transfer onto everything you do, not only in the gym, but most importantly, on the fire scene and rescue scene. So great question. I hope I was able to address that and still stay, honestly, in the parameters of what we're talking about. It starts with mobility. If you are more mobile, then you can improve that strength through that range of motion. And if you think about rehab, I just went through shoulder. I had a little trouble with, shoulder, tore I tore my rotator cuff. And the first thing that they did is work mobility, get that range of motion back. Now we're strengthening, and actually I'm almost 100%, but we're strengthening through that range. That is the key to anything as far as improving performance, improving strength. And I believe, too, that will then lead to weight loss. It'll lead to adding more muscle because you're feeling better and you're able to challenge your body a little bit more. So whatever you do, don't skip the warm-ups. Actively warm up. Choose 3 to 5 exercises. Try to do it before workouts, before shifts, and especially if you're going to start running outside, do a couple of minutes to get blood flow through your knees, improve your hips mobility, and warm up properly. I know that it works because I've seen it, done it, and used it with many, many pro athletes. So with that in mind, just going to answer one more question. If I can, you guys, thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. If you do have questions on anything whatsoever, please reach out to me, anytime. You can reach me at firerescuefitness.com. You can follow us, please, on we got a YouTube channel. We got Facebook, which you're watching through either one of those avenues. And I'll try to keep posting any pertinent questions that come across. We also have a podcast that I ramble on. But it's mainly all about you. What do you need to help improve your performance? What do you need to do your job? Let me know how I can help you and your crew. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in a couple days. We'll do another one of these. Let me know if you have any questions. Stay fit for duty, everybody.